Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Beautifully Bruised and CPS show. I am your host, Latrika Jones. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Welcome to Friday, right? We've made it to the end of a busy week, a work week for many, and I just thank God He allowed us to see another day. I always tell myself, as I try to tell everybody else that listens, that a lot of people didn't get a chance to see this day. Okay, they
Correct.
went into the week, not knowing what was going to happen because, as we all know, life happens to the best of us. Okay, many people in those hospital beds may have been gasping for breath, might have been victim to a sickness or an illness, and unfortunately, like I say, we know life is for the living. I've always been raised to know that. And while you have a pulse, please know that God still has a plan. And
Amen.
trust me, people could trade in what they've been through, ones that's sick in the hospital or injured, have lost their lives. They will. So I tell everybody, while you have the chance, maximize your opportunities. Please don't take life for granted. If there is a new day, you ought to thank God that He woke you up this morning. My mom always had a saying that I'm just thankful to wake up on this side of the earth. And I have
Amen.
learned cannot take nothing for granted. So, with that being said, I always give thanks to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for helping me to overcome some great obstacles in my life, some great challenges, some things I wasn't even sure I was going to make it out of. But because of His grace and mercy, guess what? I'm sitting in front of you today. And
Amen.
along with sitting in front of with you today, I have a guest, Akima Richardson, known as KK. And when I tell you, you might want to go and get your
Hello?
listen, your coffee, your cup of
Hello?
coffee. You're still on, Akima. We got you. We got
Miss
you. Can
Jones?
you hear us? We're going to be making some adjustments to Akima, but I'm telling you, her story is so heartwarming. It is so touching. When you hear what all she has been through, what she is continuing to go through, it is going to touch your heart. I assure you of that. She's very intelligent.
Thank
She
you.
well how to speak regarding her story. So again, go get your favorite snack, go get that cup of coffee, that hot tea, whatever that Starbucks, listen, whatever it takes you to get to where you like to be. Listen to a story. I assure you that's going to be captivating. So you don't want to miss what she has to say. Okay. And with that being said, I just would like for Akima to just please introduce herself and also share where she's from.
Hi. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It's afternoon in New York for me, guys.
Oh,
I'm just
afternoon.
in New York.
Okay.
So good morning, good afternoon. My name is Akima Richardson. I like to be called KK during this podcast.
Okay.
And my story is a very complex one. There's mental health involved, substance abuse involved, as well as medical issues as well. And these are all things that are in past history, with the exception of the medical history. So, my CPS history is a very complex one. Like I said, it has been off and on for approximately 10 years now.
Wow.
And my children are currently in temporary foster care with a non kinship person, because we have to establish that there's a big difference between
It's a
kinship and
huge
just a regular
thing.
foster parent. The money is
Wow.
different, as well as the interaction and authority that they have legally to sign things or do things in reference to your children. So we'll
Wow.
just pause that,
Okay.
and we'll go back to, I guess we can start from the top, where in 20 March of 2013 my first case was open in New York, where my child was born positive to crack cocaine, which I admitted. I went to a treatment, facility. I worked my program. I got her back in less than a year, which,
Okay.
they wanted me to speak on a panel about, things like that. And I
Right.
just want to, explain why nobody's ever asked me about my drug use. None of my family, nobody ever asked me why I use. And when you have a lot of things that don't work out in your life, you tend to go somewhere for a crutch that does not judge you, that does not criticize you, ridicule you, or make you feel bad in any way. But
True.
that's where family is supposed to step in.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what my sister did do when I did have my daughter in March of 2013. She stepped
Okay.
in. She, took my child. But prior to that, 2 weeks prior to that, there was somebody else that had her as a guardian, and that was what I thought was my ex boyfriend. But come to find out, he was my pimp.
Hmm.
I was in that, hot, fast lifestyle, the stripper lifestyle, doing, making the fast money. So when I got pregnant with my daughter,
Let me
everything
just say
changed.
this, Akima. I want to say this too before you're definitely going into
Hmm.
insightful information, but I just like to share also that only state what you feel. You know,
Yes,
obviously transparency transform, and I just want you to know that please don't share anything that you feel that could be used against you.
I
I
don't.
just think, okay, great. So I
I
didn't
don't.
want
I'm
you to
not
feel
embarrassed.
pressured by anything.
No, Miss Jones,
Oh,
and let me tell you something. I am so
okay.
transparent. Sometimes it turns around to bite me in the ass, and excuse my expression. But honesty is my biggest downfall. And with that, I have nothing to be embarrassed about. You can ask me anything, I'm not going to lie. And I don't regret anything other than letting certain people around my children that have implemented these removals.
Right.
So,
Right.
everything that
Okay.
I've
Well, I just
said
want to
or
share
will
this
say,
because
yes,
no, no, no. Please go right ahead because that was going to be one of my
yes.
first questions is how Akima has CPS affected you, and you, like I
Right.
say, you explained very well in detail. So please continue on.
Thank you. So, just as a reminder, I'm never embarrassed, and I do not regret anything other than traumatizing my children on my part by letting unnecessary resources get involved.
Right. I love your
So,
transparency, by the way. Yes,
thank
I
you.
do. Hmm.
So again, I thought the guy was my boyfriend, but he was my pimp. And my sister did fight like a maternal aunt should, and she got
Hmm.
her. I worked my
Good.
program. I got her. I got her back on a child discharge. During that time, I was
Hmm.
involved with somebody else who did not express to me everything on his background that could have initiated another removal.
Right.
So we went into the family shelter. Got married. We went into the family shelter together, and my daughter was removed. And
Mm.
CPS didn't tell me why. They just kept saying, ask your husband, ask your husband. So when I finally found out that the reason for the removal was he was on the registry for sexual assault, and, he basically explained it as he was a minor when it happened. But to my
Mm.
knowledge, minors' records are, YO youth offending records are sealed once you turn 18, unless
Right.
you have committed another crime of the same nature in your adult life.
Hmm.
So for CPS to be able to see that on their registry and be able to remove my child because that was a safety hazard, you have done something else in your adult life that you did not disclose to me that I could have, gotten my child removed forever. So, we worked through that. We got through that. I got pregnant with, after getting my daughter back, I got pregnant with my second child. And we were still in the shelter, but there was something that happened with my ex husband that put us, in a situation to where I had to either leave the shelter or turn him in. So he
Okay.
went on, like he began running from the law. They finally found him
Wow.
10 days before I gave birth to my second child. And because
Hmm.
the prior case was still on a trial discharge, they removed my second child based on connection and history. When there was no substance abuse involved with this pregnancy. There was no abuse, period. I was on a trial discharge in the shelter with my other child trying to, gain full custody. And again, because of somebody else's negligence or somebody else's, influence in my life, and that's my fault too, my child got penalized. So they both got removed. Again, my sister stepped in, which she is the real MVP, but we have a very strained relationship in our adult life because she used my children to control how I interacted, how I socialized, and how I lived.
Wow.
I was in the shelter, a single woman shelter. I would get up every morning to make sure I got to Brooklyn, and I was in the Bronx, and that's a really long commute. I would get up, I would come to Brooklyn, I would make sure I got my daughter up, I got them dressed, I got them to school, I dropped her children off to school, and then I went to my program. This went on for approximately 10 months. And
Wow.
then because that same sister, that's the real MVP, decided that if I could not be her in-house babysitter, that I had to leave her home with my child. And It was snowing outside. It was like 1:30 in the morning, and I went.
1:30 in the morning, it's snowing
Yep,
outside in New York. And
and
she
she put
wants you
me
and your
out,
child to leave. Wow.
right, because I won't babysit for her to go out. You know that I'm not allowed to go anywhere with my child unsupervised at that time, but you put us both
Mhm.
out. Then you
Wow.
proceeded to say if I left, you would call me and call the police and have me arrested for kidnapping. So it I had to either be we call it a doja. I don't know, like a patsy, somebody that's like weak that has to just follow all the rules because you have the most precious thing in life to me that is valuable than more valuable than anything.
It
So
sounds like you were being blackmailed, like you couldn't
that's
win
it.
from losing in that
Yep,
situation.
I couldn't. And even when I was sober, it phone. Should I come back? I'm sorry, that was my alarm. But
Okay.
I'm never a good person when I put my foot down. The minute I say I'm not okay with something or I'm not going to be disrespected, I'm the drug addict. I'm a crackhead. I'm this,
Oh,
I'm that. I'm mentally unraveling because I must be manic because I have bipolar, but I could
because you're
never
standing up for
do
yourself, which is the right
exactly
thing to do.
correct. So we're going to go a little past that. I got both my children. We went into the family shelter. We were there for about 7 months and I got my apartment,
Good.
the apartment that I'm currently in still
Wow. Like, so you built stability
by myself.
by yourself.
Yes,
Wow.
because like I
That
said,
says a lot.
my ex-husband was arrested 10 days before the birth of his child.
Oh, wow.
So she never met him in person until she was about 5 years old.
Hmm.
Because I don't do jail visits. I'm not a jail wife. I'm not, and I can be honest about that.
Right.
And I don't feel like I have to traumatize my children with things like that. It's bad enough that people say things to them about me or around them about me that corrupts their perception of me, and that's not fair.
It's not fair. And Akima, just from what you've shared so far, which to me has really it shows because honestly, and sadly, you're not the only one that has a family that is not, um, um, have not. Honestly, I know what that's like. When you have a support, well, supposed to be a support system,
Right.
but it's everything but sometimes.
Right.
That they can actually be the very ones that can be out to get you versus being that supportive family that you need during transition. And I tell everybody, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you have, financial wise, educational wise. I don't care if you live in. I've got to blessed me to be around all walks of life. I
Right.
done been around people that business owners, live in the suburbans, live in a mobile home, live in their
Right.
cars. I don't care what your background may be. We all have been through something. We
Right.
all have a history, whether a person admit to it, share their truth like you're willing to do on this show today. We all have a past. I just think it's very unfortunate. And I will say this because I have witnessed this before with CPS, that a lot of times you have parents that might have had, like I said, we all have had a past,
Right.
including CPS. We just don't know about theirs, right? But what I say that to say this, people can change.
Thank you.
People can change. Just the way you might have started one way does not mean that's the way the rest of your life is going to be. I have a
Thank you.
living testimony where
Me
I'm
too.
at now at 48 years old, at 28 years old, I might have not made the best decisions regarding
Exactly.
relationships, financial spending,
Yep.
educational, I mean, life at its best. So I just honestly, I really do appreciate you, Akima, for sharing your truth because you will be
Thank you.
surprised. There are so many people that can be a witness and what are going through today, what you're sharing with your story. So, not to go any further without allowing you to continue, but you were speaking in reference to your family and the things they put you through. You were able to build yourself back up stability wise without any support. And please carry on.
Okay, so with respects to my family, like there are a lot of toxic situations that have happened within my family dynamic. And
Okay.
it started, in my childhood.
Mhm.
I'm the oldest sibling. I've always been the protector. I've always been the black sheep. And I've always been the person that is just aggressive and bold. I'm blunt. And I'm
Mhm.
not going to tell you something to appease your feelings, or my delivery may be, a little messed up, or the way I articulate it may be, you know, untactful, but still, you're going to get the honest truth from me. And some people
Yeah,
just can't
no,
handle
y'all
it.
are genuine, truthful people.
Mhm.
My mom
So,
was like that, yes.
right. So it's like, with my mom, we have a very toxic relationship because, yes, I was abusive to her, but she was abusive to me for a very long time when she allowed people to come in and touch me and abuse me in places that I thought were safe. And when I
Wow.
raised these issues to her, it was always my fault because I didn't listen or because I left home early. So she wasn't able to give me the resources I need to deal with stressful situations with my children. But yet, I have assisted my mother in everything that she needed to do, including saving her life. Because my sister
My
took her
God.
to a place where she died on the table, and because they don't speak Spanish, she called me 3 o'clock in the morning. And because I can speak Spanish, and I'm going to be a little funny, because at that time I was up getting high, I was awake to take that phone call that saved her life.
My.
I said, "So my drug addiction put air in your lungs for you to get back to the States."
Mm. Gosh, when you
And
said that, it just resonated something in my spirit. You really need to write a book.
but I'm not going to
You're
say that
laughing, but
makes
I'm
it okay.
serious.
It doesn't make it okay to, to use drugs. But I'm just saying that's a once in a
Wow.
lifetime thing that saved your life. And the black sheep saved your
Mm.
life, the person that you abused the most. So when
Mm.
my mother made the statement of, or the only thing I do is abuse her, it kind of gave me a PTSD flashback of the abuse I endured with her, around.
Right.
And I kind of blacked out and attacked her.
Mhm.
I damaged her jaw. I did a few things that damaged some things on her body. Am I sorry about it? No, I'm not. Do I regret it? Absolutely not. But I do regret because I did not have that positive relationship with my mother. I am
Mhm.
learning how to parent with my children in a safe and productive way. And I'm looking for alternate resources. And those are the resources that are the ones that are corrupting my children's perception. So because I'm looking for help or I'm looking for guidance because I didn't
Mhm.
get it, it seems to trickle over into my children's well being, and they get caught in the crossfire every time.
Wow. So it sounds like too um and as you were speaking, I also just want to mention that I'm sorry to hear that what you had to endure as a child.
But you know
Um
what, Miss Jones,
Mhm.
honestly, not to cut you off,
Go
all
ahead.
my mishaps and all my trauma, I use it as motivation to make me better, to show my children better, to be better than
That's
what my
good.
mother was. So
I love
every
that.
downfall, I own up to it and I look for supports and resources to try to deal with that trauma or try to minimize the toxicity between the relationship I have with my children.
I love that. I do, Akima, because to me this shows your strength. You know, a lot of times people take what they've been through and want to have a pity party. I
No,
always want to cry wolf or victim, and not saying that it's not valid for them to feel that way, but I think a wise person, because that's something I try to do as well. Like the old saying, you can take lemons and make
right,
lemonade out of it,
right,
you
and that's
know?
what I do.
So
So
I love that you do use that as motivation because that's the same approach. I see it as well. Psychological. You
right,
might didn't have what you needed, but use that to be better for your kids.
thank you.
So I love
So,
that you're implementing that.
yeah.
Wow. So as far as your kids right now, are you where are you at in your fight with CPS and your children?
Okay. Well, as far as the my two that I have now, my 8-year-old is caught between a rock and a hard place because she doesn't want to disappoint her sister by letting her know she wants to come home, and she does
Mhm.
not want to disappoint me by trying to, go with her
Right.
sister because that's where she is. Goodness, I'm sorry. This her sister
Okay.
is kind of abusive to her. And
Hmm.
when they were here, she was verbally abusive, but I did not allow the physical activity.
Of course.
And I feel like in this foster home, the foster parent is not providing accurate supervision to prevent things like this, you know?
Hmm.
So with my 11-year-old, we have a very strained and toxic relationship, similar to how me and my mother were, but with no sexual abuse, but there was physical abuse because I allowed certain people to infiltrate our foundation thinking that they were here to support us and help us build. But they came
Hmm.
in like wolves in sheep's clothing. I mean,
Wow.
they came in like wolves in sheep's clothing with
Right.
false intention and
Right.
preconceived notions of trying to be nasty to us.
Secret agendas where they're pretending to be one way, but they're really totally
You're
something.
muted. Mute.
Oh, I'm muted. I'm sorry.
Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Can't hear you.
Okay. Grace, I don't know. Can you hear me? Because I think she's saying I'm okay. Can you hear me, Akima? Okay. Um, I'm hoping you can hear me. I'm gonna see if we can let's see here.
You hear me now, Miss Jones?
Okay,
Hello?
yes.
Okay, got
You hear
it.
me now? Okay.
Yes. But as you were saying,
Yes, I just wanted to ask you, you've answered the question about kind of how the foster parent, it seemed like it's not operating out of integrity fully. It's from what I'm
right.
getting. You're saying they're allowing certain things to go on, which they should. Can I ask you, without stating your children's name, just for, safety and legal reasons, we don't never, share the,
Reveal names,
our,
I know.
right.
I say
So,
ages. I always say their ages.
okay. So how many
We
children is it?
and with this case, there are two. One
There are
11
two
year old
kids.
that just turned 11, and one that's 8.
Okay, so
Both
we have an
girls. Both my
8 year
little girls. Two girls.
okay, 2 little girls. Okay, 8-year-old and 11-year-old. Okay. Um, are you allowed to see your children at this time? Where
Yes,
are
I
you as
am.
far as
Visitation. I have 2 hours supervised on Tuesdays
okay,
from three to
good.
5. And
Okay,
on Fridays, we have therapeutic visits at an art studio with an art therapist for an hour and a half. So it's
okay,
45 minutes per child. But for
okay.
some reason, my 11-year-old is allowed to decline family visits because she claims I'm a trigger to her. But my child does not like to be disciplined. She has ODD severely. She's extremely defiant
Oh,
and
wow.
very, very malicious and vindictive. She is a major manipulator, and that is, partly not her fault in her defense because people
Mhm.
have given her, like I said, a false perception of me. They've told her things that are not for her to hear. So, when things
Right, I've
like this
heard
happen and
that
they get
happens,
removed,
sadly.
she's upset with
Right.
me because either I'm doing drugs or either I'm sleeping all the time or I'm lying and I give them away and then people are not my friends. We don't want to come back, mommy, because if people don't like you, we don't want to get caught in this again.
Oh, wow, that's a tough one, Akima. So from what you're sharing, do you honestly, from what I'm hearing, does it seem like that you are being a victim of parent alienation as well as your children seem to be being brainwashed?
Brainwashed. Yep, I said that because I don't understand why I'm allowed, and I'm also allowed to have electronic communication for 30 minutes every night.
Good.
So when I do reach out to call my children, either they're preoccupied, they're asleep, or they don't want to talk to me, or they don't answer at all. And the foster parent enables a lot of things that are not in the best interest of the child. As far as when I'm talking to like my 11-year-old, she's very, very biggity. And when she's not face to face with me or in my vicinity, it's challenging. She thinks she's on my level type of situation and
Mm.
begins to call me by my first name.
Oh,
So
really?
it's Akima, grandma, because that's what she calls the foster parent. Grandma says, I don't have to listen to the things you say because I don't live in your house. So when I raised
Okay,
this
well, let
to
me just try to understand that.
foster,
Are you see what I'm saying? Like, okay, now are the children with, is it, are they with family? Are
No,
they?
no. They are with my ex-husband's best friend's mother. I know of
Wow,
her, but she's not my
that's a
friend.
lot.
She's not my friend. She's not a resource for me
Of course, when you said X and all that, I kind of figured maybe not.
because I don't even know how
Oh,
she was able
wow.
to step in. She didn't even know my children's names when CPS called her to ask her to be a foster parent. We've been calling them by their
That's a
nicknames
great
for so
question,
long.
Akima.
She
How did
doesn't
she
know
get
their because my ex-husband reeled her in. And I don't understand how that was okay when he was a fugitive and everybody is just disregarding that he's evading the law on a murder charge. So, but I'm the one that's unfit mentally. That's what it was. I was mentally unstable because I said I was going to strangle my children. Yet, yet they came and removed my children a whole week later after that
my God.
so-called statement was made. After I got an evaluation, after I showed I was in service.
Listen, then
That's
that
why I
is
said the things that I'm saying you would think I'm making up. My aunt thought the same thing until she got to witness it herself on the very first visit she supervised,
my God.
where the foster parent never left the vehicle, never introduced herself, never picked my children back up. She told me, "Go ahead to your house. I'll get them later." So, two things wrong with that scenario. One, you know I'm supposed to be supervised via court order.
Right.
And two, you did not tell them that you knew I was not a danger. That's why you left them with me. But you didn't take ownership for that. So instead of them giving me, a little more leeway, they stripped me
Right.
of all my resources to supervise visits, put me on a supervision with a case planner once a week, and only talk to the foster parent. There was no contempt order. There was no nothing put in. There was nothing.
Okay. Since you know obviously all the details regarding your case and all the details of things that sounds like your rights have been violated as a parent.
No, tremendously, provincially, civilly, the American Disabilities Act. Like there are so many things, even educationally, because the school is under the impression that I have to refer all concerns and inquiries to the foster care agency when my rights are intact because I just had an IEP meeting amendum for my child, which I implemented things for her BIP. I was the one who fought for my child when she was suspended and got her reinstated based under false allegations and being suspended wrongfully under the chancellor's guidelines for special needs children. Nobody got in contact with me. I played Carmen San Diego and find out things about my kids. I have to stalk their medical chart to find
And
out what
you're
is going on.
wow.
And when I
I'm
ask these
amazed by
questions,
everything you're telling me. Go ahead,
it's
please
this
carry on.
they put me with a foster care agency that I have a conflict of interest with. They were the same agency 10 years ago where I assaulted one of the workers who is now in administration.
Oh my
So,
God. So that's a
be,
conflict of interest, right?
oh, but I am the lunatic. I'm the one with the mental health history that is traumatizing my children and making things unsafe for them. I don't provide adequate supervision because I am mentally unstable and I'm off my meds. I have
Have you ever
provided
had a psychological evaluation?
Miss Latrika. The day my children were removed, I got an evaluation. I was released 45 minutes later with an appointment a month away for a follow up. I've always been on psychotropic medication because I have a psychological history. My children, too, have a mental health history, which they are on medication for and seek therapeutic service. Very
We
very
lost you. Okay, there
parent
you go.
advocate very well. All services that they have implemented, I put there.
Oh my God.
So I
And with
know
that,
how to identify my problems and my triggers. So they can't tell me I'm unfit.
well, that's what I'm saying. Normally, I know when I've been a victim to CPS years ago, and that is to me one of the things, one of the ways I say when you're dealing with CPS that lacks integrity. And let me just put this disclaimer out there once again that I normally always try to mention that I'm not saying that all CPS caseworkers are not doing their job. I'm speaking to the ones that does not have integrity. They're the ones that are
Yes,
not doing their job because it's
correct.
more about politics, money, and power, versus you noticing that the parents are doing the work, they're doing their services, they're doing what you're asking them to do, but you're
Thank
still trying
you.
to find any type of narrative to keep these children from being reunified back with their family where they belong.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I am speaking directly to you, if that's
Yes.
you.
Yep.
So, wow,
Well, my
wow.
children were according to what the first report said, because there's like four different reports. I don't even know where to start.
Mm.
The first report was saying I called my children's school at 6:30 in the morning, threatening to strangle them because I was suicidal and off my meds. There's a lot of things wrong with that one sentence. First of all, there's nobody in the school at 6:30 in the morning.
That's what I was gonna say. I know you're in a different state and time zone, but my God,
Well, that's one.
it's really
Two,
different.
two. If I said I was going to strangle my children, why would you, as the witness to this, allow me to pick my children up that day, and then didn't remove my children for 7 more days? So if I really wanted to strangle my children,
Yeah,
would
this
they have
definitely
been
some
there 7 days
hoaxes.
later with my mental health history?
No, it doesn't make
So
sense.
who's the crazy one now?
Do you know who made these accusations? Who?
Yes, the secretary at the school. But the crazy part about that is that was Auntie Kat. We had a personal relationship. We hung out on the weekends. We went on
Oh, wow,
trips and things like that. You called me on your personal cell phone on your lunch hour. That has nothing to do with DOE personnel. And
wow.
you wore a crisis team hat and never told me that that was the hat you were wearing, because I don't talk to you about personal things on school days for that reason. I don't mix, I don't interact or put things involving school on our weekend outings.
So, do
And you
you
said,
think
they
that
said
she
I
might
used,
have?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead. I'm listening.
She said that they told, there was an accusation of me using DOE personnel on the weekends as my personal respite. Ms. Jones, I want to know, how did I feel comfortable enough calling that person on the weekends? How did I get their number? How did I feel comfortable
Correct.
to use that if they didn't offer it to me?
Correct.
So how am I using DOE personnel as personal respite? It can't be respite. It can't be a DOE personnel. They don't work on Saturday and Sunday. That's not the hat she's wearing. But
It
she
just
gave me her
seemed like
personal phone number. So evidently she was comfortable enough with having that
I was
personal
thinking
relationship with
that.
me.
Yeah, you can't just obviously she had to communicate with you to be able to exchange her telephone
And
number.
thank you. So if you thought I was such a danger that day and you claimed I said I was going to strangle my kids, why did you call me and ask me how are they going home? Were they going to after school? Were you picking them up from the schoolyard, or are you putting them on the bus? If I was a danger. Just a little
Right, I
confused.
agree. Hakima, how do you feel today? No, I'm serious. How, with everything, well, we haven't even heard your whole story, and from what I'm getting, that we're going to have to bring you back on if that's okay with
Thank you.
you
Yes,
for
that's very fine
continuing.
with me. I appreciate that. Thank
Great.
you.
Okay.
But today,
Absolutely. Because I do believe that this story is needed to be heard.
thank you. And I'm feeling okay today as far as physically. I had a stroke on the 5th. So I'm still trying
Bless
to get the left side of my body, together. I'm doing physical therapy. So, I'm working with that. Mentally, I'm just
you. Mhm.
exhausted because I know the things that I'm
Wow.
advocating for or are concerned about regarding my children's well-being is not being recognized and being, any type of receptiveness to what I'm trying to build for them, to show you guys I am not a danger. And based on my history and the biasness that they have
Right.
within the CPS stature, I'm not even being heard. And I'm looking like I'm harassing everybody when in
Yeah.
all actuality I'm enforcing my rights.
Ooh, you know what? Before I even spoke with you today, that was as I prayed about before I got on this show, God, what is it that needs to be heard? What is something that I'm also witnessing right now in my own life? And what came to, now, I know y'all can't see it on this paper, but basically it does say, know your rights.
See?
Know your rights. The truth can set you free.
Yes.
The
And
more
I
you
feel like that's
know,
how
the
they're
better it
biasing me,
is.
because I'm smart. I feel like based on my demographic, and excuse my expression, but this nigga is smart. And that's how I'm feeling. I didn't mean to say it
You
like
know
that,
what?
but
I'm gonna say
that's how I'm
this.
feeling.
That's how you but you will be surprised, many people no, seriously, people can definitely be intimidated by your level of education.
Thank you.
When
And I'm
I went
starting to see
through,
that more and more.
oh my God, and especially I say with CPS, to me, the reason why it's so important that you know your rights, and this is gonna help lead me into my next question, is because a lot of parents don't realize that their rights are being violated. And people, even the Bible says people perish due to the lack of knowledge.
Correct.
Okay. So knowledge is key. And again, as I said in many of those courtrooms and listened to many court cases, I noticed that a lot of those hearings were set up for people that lacked knowledge, people who lacked education, people
Right. And
who
it's very
lacked
unfair.
resources. A lot of the
Right.
cases were minorities, if I just be honest. So,
Right.
statistics, yeah, absolutely. I'm not telling you what I I heard about. I'm telling you what I witnessed. I was in the courtrooms and listening to the judge and the in these victims of CPS and their their demographics as they're approaching the bench. I'm sorry, and sharing like I say, just from what I witnessed, a lot of people wasn't able to speak as clearly as you are and know details like you do, and we can track and confirms solid evidence of information. Even when
Thank
I
you.
had my court hearing, um, Akima, I do believe a reason why my attorney was so successful because she had valid evidence. She had solid
Right.
evidence. She had details. She had discovery. She had information, solid information that the judge even said one, well, I can't touch that. So
Right.
knowledge is power. Um, so again, I'm so glad you mentioned that, Akima, because you are dropping definitely some gems, some diamonds, some nuggets that I think not only is it useful for what you're sharing with your story, I think that it holds credibility, but it's a lot of families that are going through the same thing, whether,
Right.
and this is what I must say before I give you back the mic, is that I would like for you to share because you brought this to my attention before we started taping, and this means a lot to me because this is something that I witnessed from my mother as well, while she was living. I know you're saying, if you don't mind, like you said, you thank
Go ahead.
God you're transparent, but dealing with your medical condition, I would like for you to emphasize what it is that you're dealing with at this time and what CPS is trying to use that as against you.
Well, at this time, like most of the people, when I do my Facebook lives, I have stage 4 cancer. It originated in my stomach, but now it has, metastasized to my, throughout my body. I also have SLE lupus, which, affects the brain, the lungs, the kidneys, and the heart. So,
Mm,
I'm already one kidney down. I have already had my breast evacuated, and every I had a stroke, like I said, on the 5th of this month. My left side is still a little paralyzed, and with this cancer, I'm still doing chemo. I just started. They want me to do 6 rounds of chemo, 4 rounds of radiation. I'm also doing dialysis, and I'm exhausted. Physically, I'm exhausted, but that will never stop me from being motivated enough to be a mom, because
that's right.
CPS is trying to basically say, am I medically capable of parenting these children in a safe and manageable way based on my medical, the medicines prescribed and the medical procedures that I'm dealing with on a weekly basis. Am I safe? Am I well enough? And I could never stop being a mother. Everything in this process that I've done thus far has motivated me in this sickness to be there for my kids, regardless whether I'm
Wow.
sleeping, regardless whether I'm vomiting all day, whether I'm exhausted and I need to sleep. I'm um I'm just I'm a mom. I'm a mom all the time, and we don't get no days off. And even though I have
Real.
my shirt that says "Mom is temporarily out of order," that is because
Yes.
my children
Show
are
your
not
shirt. I
in
love
my
that shirt.
presence. But if I have to go running, I will get my body together, paralyzed and all, to be there for them. My kids know anytime I make a promise, mommy comes through for those promises.
Right. I love that, Akima. And what does your shirt say? Can you show the
It says,
listening
"Mom
audience?
is temporarily out of order. Try again later." A friend of mine had that made. She's the best.
I love that shirt.
But a mom's job is
I
never
love
done.
that. I just,
We work
you know what?
25/8.
It is. I, it's listen. That's exactly right. It never ends. Okay, even from
I said our job 25/8.
a child that
25/8.
is still in grade school. That's exactly correct. It never Our job never ends, and I just like that you really pointed on the fact that with cancer, like I said, my mom had three different types of cancer before God called her home. But I do know for a fact by her having those medical challenges, it did not make her to be a mother that was unfit. From my own personal experience, I was the baby of her five children. And what I experienced is a mother that to me became even more devoted to her children. I noticed that as she was going through her medical illness of three different type of cancers, that to me it seemed like her stares were longer. Her The gleam in her eye was stronger. The love in her heart was compelled and conveyed even more. I received more and more "I love yous."
Right,
You begin to. Um, I just felt like she was cherishing every moment, and it was through love. It was making me feel that I'm loved.
right.
I've always felt love, don't get me wrong, but during those times, it was even greater,
Later.
and she made
Exactly.
that known.
And I just don't understand why, with this amount of, health issues that I'm going through, why CPS would put more of a strain on me as far
I
as
agree.
severing or restricting the communication or making it seem like I'm the traumatizing one or I am the one invoking all the unsafe comfortabilities, So I'm like,
Right.
why, why is nobody listening? But everything that this foster parent says is just, she's credible just right off the bat. She was letting my children have visitation with their father, not saying I didn't want him to see the children, but turn yourself in and do it the right way, because
Correct.
you cannot be a fugitive evading the law, and she's not being arrested for aiding and abetting a fugitive, but you're breaking everything that's constitutional, and I'm the one being
Being held
penalized.
accountable.
Yeah, you're
That's the
turning my
thing
children
too.
against me. Like,
Hmm,
we don't like the way you talk to grandma. Why are you telling children about adult conversation?
I agree. So with the foster parents, this is something I would like to know even from, like I say, we are on Attorney Events platform, and I thank God for his heart in defending our
Yes.
families against CPS, because obviously statistics show and life has show a lot of times they don't follow the laws. I can tell you with my
No, they
case years
don't.
ago, they don't. I assure you, with my very, personal for me years ago when I had my CPS, my CPS case, they were trying to place my child with a charged child molester. So like you just, oh yeah, that was my response as
Oh
well.
my, they did that with
So
my
I'm like
children too.
you.
The first 9 weeks. The first 9 weeks never did a home study to find out this apartment didn't belong to this person. They were evicted. My children were missing for 11 hours.
Oh my God.
They did not do a home study. I mean, financial analysis, because this person was a
I
convicted
thought that
felon,
was
did not qualify.
mandatory.
Did not qualify for foster care resources because he was a convicted felon. So you did not do that search. So you did not know how he was providing for my children. My children were getting abused for
Wow.
9 weeks out of therapeutic service, off medication, but were given medication that was not prescribed to them. And all of
Wow.
these things on the very first visit that I had in the CPS building under supervision. My child, at the closure of the visit, stated she was getting beat. She did not want to go back there. Can she go to the children's center? This worker looked me in my face and said they have to
Mm.
investigate and put my children back there, where this person brandished a firearm,
Oh,
which
they
when your
returned the
children go,
child back to the unsafe environment?
yes, to the unsafe environment, and it came from the horse's mouth. Only to know that this person was now jailed for this firearm that they brandished to my children, telling them if they ran their mouth about anything going on there, that he would kill everybody. This person was just arrested.
Mm.
So you cannot tell me that I am mentally unfit or I am on a psychotic rant when I'm providing you documentation, proof, audio messages, emails, videos. My house has closed circuit TV cameras everywhere you walk.
Was it ever investigated or looked into?
No. Until nope, I'm lying. Until my daughter, they had an assignment at school when they got put with the placement they're in now. They had an assignment at school that says, "What do you do when you get home?"
Okay.
My child wrote down, "I get beat with a cord and starved every night until my stomach is almost on the floor."
Oh, Jesus.
That's when CPS goes running and they try to like keep me out the loop. They didn't want me to know that she went down there to make a statement to the I think the police that work with the CPS unit. But that is my right. So you violated
Mhm.
that as well, and then you still left them with this foster parent.
Right, you should know about that. Correct. Ooh,
But no,
Lord Jesus.
because
And
I have a
again,
history. I have a history. Nobody's listening. I'm not that
say
same
that
person
again,
because
Akima.
honestly, I said because I have a history within the CPS stature, nothing that I advocate for productively is being even acknowledged. So I feel like this. They want me to become that combative, aggressive person that did not care about wearing an orange jumpsuit any time of the day. That's where they want to take me back to. And I'm trying to show my children patience and humility and humbleness will get you a lot of places. But I'm not no
Yes,
punk.
ma'am. Yes,
I'm not
ma'am.
no
Yes,
punk, and you're not
ma'am.
gonna keep using my children as leverage like we're playing chess, like pawns on a board. Because at the
Correct.
end of the day, I'm the queen, and she takes the floor every time.
That's right. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, Akima, because it seemed like to me, a lot of times, and I studied psychology. That's what I did uh, in in education, and it
Right,
just seemed like a lot of times they do use that as a way to try to break you down, a
right.
way to make you become this, like you, I hate to say
Irrational,
it, but
psychotic nigga. Yes.
psychotic. You took the words out of my mouth. Absolutely. No, I'm so serious. That is so true. And
No, you
sadly, you're not
cannot.
the only person that have
Right,
shared that experience. And honestly, when I went through it, I think they were doing so much to me. They were either trying to break me down mentally or make me give up. They didn't understand how I had peace. And that's the same reason why I tell people they take you through much. You literally want to know God. I kid you not. You want to know God regardless if you have a CPS case or not. But when you're going through continuously gruesome tests and a war zone of hell of someone that's trying to break you down psychologically, mentally, emotionally, again, it is imperative that you learn to have faith in God who can give
absolutely.
you peace that passes all understandings. Because I assure you, CPS will take you there, and they actually,
Honey,
like we're discussing, they're doing it intentionally to break you down or
right.
to
And,
make
and
you do
and I
something.
feel like why are they allowed to do that, Miss Jones? Why are they allowed if the allegation is considered to be mental health? Why are
Mhm.
they playing with your psychological, you know, like they're using
Right.
psychological warfare? I really feel like that
You
because you
are.
want me to be unraveled because I know the things that I'm advocating for that are in black and white in your manual. In your
Right.
manual. If I say to them, this is in your procedural manual, page 146, paragraph 3, lines 6 through 12. Read that because I know what I'm talking about. And I have photographic memory.
Yes.
I remember everything.
Yes.
I remember everything
I
as though
believe
the
what you're
book was in
telling me
front of me.
today. I really do. From talking to you previously and today, you definitely seem like a woman of your words. You know what you're saying,
And
and like,
that's
but
the
you,
thing. It's not fair that I'm labeled a liar based on what my family has experienced after they have disrespected me and minimized my credibility. So everything that I've proven, I have to either be extremely aggressive or just take a time out because they're just running me over all the time, just back and forth, back and forth over the car. But if I get
and with
aggressive, I get results, but I have to deal with the backlash.
the consequences of it. And I do know, with that being said, Akima, that like we said, we think mentally it is a psychological value, a psychological component where they're
Attack,
trying to
yeah.
me take you as far as they can to get you to break. So
Yes.
what are you doing in your for as a Kima, as this mother, as this warrior, as this intelligent woman, as this overcomer, a woman that's refusing to give up to a broken, corrupt system that's trying to break you down in every level, in every area possible? What do you do for yourself to give yourself, that woosah, that break, that
I
you
speak
can
to
make?
my therapist, my sponsor, and my three. Well, I have five
Okay,
friends that I can go to anytime I need to vent, and
thank
not
God.
say it's okay to intrude on their life or give them my problems. But some of
I
them come up with
understand.
great solutions, and they keep me at a place of tranquility to where I don't explode like a pressure bust pipes kind of thing.
Praise God, because that is so necessary. I am so
Yeah.
glad you have that escape.
But I do want to give a little shout out to my friend Danita and my friend
Please go
Aisha. Y'all
ahead.
have always been there for me. And there's a couple more of y'all, but they've been there from the beginning of this journey up until
Wow.
now. So I didn't forget anybody else, but those are just the two that are at the forefront. So thank y'all for being the MVPs. I just wanted to let that be known.
I think you should, and I thank them as well because I know how important it is to have a solid foundation or solid people that you can really count on during
Yes.
these times. Because I've realized, to me, that show you who your real friends are. You
Yes.
know, it speaks volume. It says a lot because many people can, they're going to always have something to say, right, or misjudge you,
Judge
or
you. Yep.
right, to go by the speculations or assumptions. But if you have a ride or die type of
Right.
friend,
Person.
uh,
Yep.
a person in your life that say, no matter what, I'm riding with you until the wheels fall off.
Correct.
Okay. No matter what, I'm on your side. So I'm telling you, it makes a world of difference when you're going through these CPS cases because you're already feeling that they're judging you, right? And like I always tell people that, to me, CPS seem like they found you guilty until you can prove to them that you're not.
We're innocent.
They
And then
already
when you
have
do
your
prove
narrative,
it, they still give you resistance and drag their feet. So,
and they still
even
try to
when
question it.
when they see the
Absolutely.
proof and you have provided, like my issue was they wanted me to sign a HIPAA. I refused to sign one because of my past experience. But you know what? This is about my children. If this is what it's going to be to move forward, let me sign it, put it on a limitation, and then revoke it after you get what you need.
Mm.
And that's what I did. So now, because of that, my visits are supposed to be sandwich visits, some supervised, some not supervised.
Oh, really?
You have
So,
not implemented any of that at all because it's at the agency's discretion. But you want to make sure you can limit my visits when my child feels like she doesn't want to follow discipline or get any reprimand for being disrespectful, where she can just hang
okay.
up the phone on me and minimize our communication because she doesn't want to hear that she's not going to talk to me like that.
And I'm
So,
sure if you're saying that she's with parents, which I've heard that this happens as well, if they are brainwashing the children or they're creating division with your
hmm
children, and so quite naturally, a child can easily revert to what they're being told or they're
right.
being fed. So wow, wow.
Because my children are upset, and they start to use terminology that was never used before. Like, oh, mommy, you're
Mhm.
starting drama. I'm starting drama because I asked, why would you hang up the phone on me? That's very disrespectful.
Yeah,
And then
that
they
sounds
just keep
like
doing it.
something someone's saying. Yeah.
But if the foster parent is supposed to be supervising, well, technically, according to the court order, she's not. It's supposed to be someone other than the foster parent. But
Mhm.
if somebody is supervising, why are they enabling that disrespect? And why are they not pulling it
Correct.
back to co parent with me for unification?
Correct. Because instead of you helping the problem, to me, you're enabling the problem.
Right. You're making it a silence a solution type of thing, and that's not okay.
That is definitely not okay. That is totally defeating the purpose of why they're with you.
That's my point.
Okay. Do you have any type of legal representation at this
I
time?
do. I finally got she's one of the good. It took me, she's lawyer number four, but she's on
Okay.
retainer. She's on retainer now.
Okay.
The other three were public defenders. So
Well,
yeah, she's great. She's
thank
great.
God.
And she's
I
a
just,
little short Italian lady, so she's real little, but with a big attitude.
but you know what? That's needed.
Yes.
I had a attorney that because I just want to say too the importance, and thank God for to have legal representation, and along with the knowledge that you have as well. I'm praying and hoping that God is going to turn this around for you in your favor,
I know he
with
will.
everything
He
that
he
you're
has the
dealing with
final
and
say.
continue to deal with.
He has the final say,
He
and
has the
he will
final
do
say.
it. He will do it when you least expect
He
it.
will come through
He does not always come on
every
time,
time.
but he come when you need him.
You better say it. You
Mm-mm.
better say it, because
Okay,
that's the truth. That is
that's
that is
right.
the absolute
He is a
truth. And
mighty
I
God we
tell people,
serve, and he can has power in all things.
and he has the power in all things, and he's the final judge. He's the real
Exactly.
judge, okay?
So as
And
long as
thank
he woke me up from that stroke, that meant I was destined to do great things. So I'm here for a
there you
reason.
go. There you go. And with so much you have experienced and the knowledge that you've gained from everything, you are a true weapon to the enemy. So I
Thank
see why
you.
he's fighting you the way he is. I know
Hmm.
I'm serious. I get it now. It makes a difference, and you're going to help so many people, Akima, by
Thank
you
you.
being in the fire, and you're not giving in, you're not giving up, and you're fighting for your children so they will soon be returned back home where they belong.
Right.
I know we're getting close to the end of the segment. We still have so much more to
I
cover. Akima
know, but
has
just thank you so much, Miss
to do a
Jones. I
part two,
appreciate
so we will bring you back.
it. Okay, definitely.
We will definitely be bringing you back. Oh my God,
Thank
because
you.
you've dropped so many gems and nuggets, and I know that it's going to help so many people that's going through the same thing or know someone that is. So I would please ask anybody that
Right.
knows someone that's going through CPS, even if it's not yourself, to please like, share, and subscribe to this platform. Again, I thank Attorney for providing this platform for families to come and learn and grow and go. And the name of this show is called Know Your Rights. I hope and pray that you have legal wise counsel like Attorney Vince, someone that knows CPS laws and know how to defeat CPS so your children can be returned back home where they belong. And even if you don't or you can't get Attorney Vince, please find an attorney that CPS laws and that is aggressive and willing to do the work to reunify you and your children back home, because your children are worth it. Just know there is nothing too hard for God. There is nothing impossible for God. He can do anything. He can turn anything around. I am a living witness and testimony. When I had my encounter years ago, it was at the very end, is when God stepped in on the scene. And when I tell you, everyone had to fall in line. And it had, listen, when I came out, I couldn't do nothing but thank God, because I know He was the reason why my child was returned back home where he belonged. So I say this to say, keep God first. Don't never give up fighting for your children. Okay. Do the work as the parent. God has blessed you with those kids for a reason. Your children are counting on you, and you can do it. So please don't never give up. Keep God first. And like I said earlier, you have rights as a parent. Know your rights. Get a wise legal attorney like Attorney Vince, or someone that can help you with fighting for your children. Okay. So have a blessed weekend and enjoy your weekend and stay safe until our next show. Have a great day, everybody.